holiday stress, especially group or family gatherings, and navigating that with emotional intelligence. Now, how do we get to do that? So, let's go about gaining some valuable insights on how to make the holiday season not just enjoyable, but emotionally enriching. Yeah, some of us need to make it a bit more emotionally enriching because getting together with family for a lot of people can be overwhelming and draining. But we can cultivate understanding, connection, and harmony during this special time of the year. Because as we gather with loved ones during this holiday and any holiday season, there is a blend of excitement and expectations that creates a unique emotional cocktail. uh, and it helps every single one of us to recognize that emotional intelligence is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending that everything is perfect, right? It's not. Instead, it's about you understanding and managing and navigating your emotions effectively. And absolutely, most definitely, not exploding with emotions on somebody else's face. Yeah. Now, emotional intelligence is not a magical shield that wards off the stress. It's rather a toolkit that empowers you to respond thoughtfully to the complexity of group or family dynamics. And it's about active listening, even if you really don't like what they are saying. Just listen with a compassionate ear. Maybe they're just going over and over about the same thing they said before, and it's like, okay, I've heard it before. What's new? Just listen, and this creates a space for open communication. The cornerstone of emotional intelligence is understanding that holiday season might not be for everyone a joyous occasion. Some people feel overwhelmed, some people try to avoid, some people find excuses, some people had enough of getting family together for the past how many thousands of years. They might have a new partner, they probably just gotten married, or they might want to go on vacation somewhere warm and exotic. Um, so it's complicated. So navigating uh, holiday stress with family, it's not about ignoring your own needs for the sake of keeping peace. Instead, it's about finding a balance, setting boundaries, and approaching these dynamics, whether it's family or group dynamics, approaching it with authenticity and compassion. Compassion. Randy.
Yeah, well said. Um, the thing that is important to remember for any of these kind of pressure situations, one of the things that helps to remember, is to see if you can remind yourself, if it's possible, if you can remind yourself a couple of things. One is, it always ends. Whatever stressful situation you're in is eventually going to end, the night will end, or the dinner will, or the visit. So it's it is there's it's only a moment in time, and that's the other part is there are a lot of expectations. I think we're more attached to social media and to the media in general than we've ever been. And I mean, you go on Instagram or any of those other ones, even Facebook,
Okay, there's some internet connection lagging, some megabits, gigabits, renders a bit behind the gigabits connection that are not flowing right. So some of the question that I'm getting here, I'm getting a question that is asking us. It's asking us. Here's a question that I'm getting a question. How can I manage conflicting personalities and opinions during family gatherings? So that's a difficult one. Every time you're going to be in a group situation, and whether it's family or whether it's blood-related family or non-blood-related family, when you're going to find yourself in a group, there's going to be conflicting personalities and conflicting opinions. And how do you manage that? Let it be. Your opinion, it's important to you, and what's real to you is not real to others. And I know in my family, my brother has had such intense opinions a few years before that ended up into a big fight with another member of the family. Is that worth it? I don't think it's worth it. absolutely it's not worth it. Well, it's not emotional intelligence because it's a lot of I don't want to say what it is, but it's not emotional intelligence. But is it worth it to create that kind of upheaval, not just between you and the other person, but between everybody else that's in a room, right? So is your opinion that important? If you can state your opinion and says, well, this is how I see things, this is what's important for me, and understand that what's important for you is not important for the others. Very rarely, very, very rarely, what's important to you is going to be important for the others. Randy?
Yeah, it's exactly right. There's several different coping things that can help. For instance, if there's conflict, people are fighting. If it's at your house, it's your place. That's disrespectful. But if it's a father and son, or for whatever reasons, the holidays bring out these subterranean, hidden conflicts. People aren't really fighting about what they're fighting about. They're fighting about something, some wound that goes way, way, way back. And that's not going to be healed on Christmas Day. So, as much as possible, know that the world keeps turning. They fight. These are maybe in a calmer times. These issues. And I'll tell you a way to think about it that I do sometimes. It helps me. That I used to also use when I was doing psychotherapy is because people stress out over this a lot. How can I? How do I manage my family members? They hate each other.
And we need more gigabits on Randy's internet connection line. This is a very busy time of the day, and hopefully Randy will get some gigabits real quick. So here's another question, and the other question we have. Randy just got back. So Randy, what do you want to add? Because your gigabits are not working properly. Your internet gigabits. That's all right. That's all right. Go on.
I spend my day all day long on the internet. I work out of my home. This never happens. Weird. Okay. Well, let me see if I'll do this very quickly. But here's this thing that I used to use, and I would tell my clients if they were interested. If you could have a magic wand, if you could make everyone love each other and be happy and be just like the Waltons on TV, remember that show? Or be like a Hallmark family, where be like that stupid family that's on TV called Blue Bloods, where they all get together every Sunday and the food magically appears, no one ever cooks it, and then the dishes magically get washed, and so, but if that's the vision that you have of what I wish my family was, my question is, what would you do to get that to happen? What body part, how much of your body would you give for that to happen? Would you give a little toe? If that could happen, would you be willing to go into a doctor and have your little toe amputated, meaning going under anesthesia, going through the pain, going through rehab? Would you take your big toe? Would you take all of your toes? What about your foot? Would you give your foot to have a happy Christmas dinner like Blue Bloods on TV, where the food magically appears and the dishes are magically done and everyone's laughing? Would you give your foot?
Randy, you're just on aversion to the people does.
What?
Okay, we're gonna have to send you the bill for all of this aversion, Randy. That is very evocative, and you are correct. I mean, how important it is a couple
It puts it
hours,
in. It puts it in
maybe
perspective.
yes, how important it is. Couple hours, maybe a couple of days with the family if you're traveling or they are traveling to you out of town, for you to just keep the peace. No, don't need to blow up on their face and tell them everything you think, because the matter of fact is that you're not going to get along with everybody. Not everybody's going to have your opinions. They don't have your priorities. They don't have your emotions. And of course, you're going to be stressed. Of course, you're going to be stressed and probably going to be bored. I mean, my last Thanksgiving, I spent, it wasn't the main English, the main language spoken at the tables. There were several tables, was not English, and it wasn't Romanian either. So there were a lot of moments to which I was like, okay, people are talking, I'm not. I was fine with that. I got busy on social media. I got busy with taking photos. I had an opportunity to wish happy Thanksgiving to a long list of friends, which otherwise I wouldn't have had the chance. So you can always go around it, dance around it, make the best of the situation, because just Randy so put it in such a big perspective.
Well, most people would say, of course, they would never give up a body part just to have a nice dinner. People go, of course I wouldn't. That's crazy. That's a stupid question. Well, what does that tell you? It means that ultimately it's not that. If I was told, would I give a kidney for my daughter, or if I could give my hand so she could be well, instantly. So it puts it in perspective about how important this stuff is. Remember, we're talking about our emotional mind, our emotional intelligence versus our thinking intelligence. And in those situations, the hot buttons are going to be pushed because there's just other things going on underneath the surface that have been there for years, maybe generations. So when my parents were alive, when my mother was alive, inevitably she was going to bring up, my brother and I never got along, we never had a relationship. Inevitably, he was never at the dinner, he was never at the celebrations. And we'd have a Christmas dinner and she'd say, why don't you ever call your brother? And steam would start coming out of my ears, like, don't bring it up again. But eventually, with help, I was able to understand this is a generational thing. She didn't get along with her sister. Her mother didn't get along with her sister. I mean, it goes back forever. It wasn't going to be solved then.
Yeah. Correct. You're right. The generational things, that there's such a big difference in generational aspects. But here you just gave a good advice on son. There was another question I had here on how to stay emotionally balanced when faced with family members who push my buttons. So go to the bathroom. Go to somebody pushes your button. Go to the bathroom, and one of the easiest release is to just breathe out. And a very, very funny one and humorous one is to just go, yeah. It helps release a lot of the tension. And hopefully you're going to break out into a smile and laughter, especially if you do in front of the mirror and you make all kinds of funny faces. It takes that little. If you continue to be so over your buttons and so heated after 2-3 minutes, that's a choice already you make. So you have not made an effort to get out of the emotion. The emotion was already processed 60 to 90 seconds. That's it. So in between that 60 to 90 seconds, somebody says something, you can just get up and walk away in the most the most, well, not with everybody. Okay, so once they finish their sentence, just get up and say, excuse me, I really gotta go to the bathroom. Go, if somebody's in the bathroom, just go outside. I don't know, just go and just breathe. Yeah, or or engage and engage your body. Let them be. Maybe they had a drink or two. Maybe their personality changes over a drink or two. And if your personality changes over a drink or two, that you know you're gonna get heated with it, I recommend better don't consume more than the level, the threshold to which it's going to get you heated. It's so not worth it. You want to enjoy your time. You want them to enjoy their time. A lot of people are so clueless, absolutely clueless on how to keep it to themselves. They just don't know how. So you're not going to teach them right there in that group gathering. You're not. It's not going to happen. You might just cause, unless you turn it into a workshop, which I don't think you're going to be able to turn it into a workshop, right? It's not going to happen. Workshop is for people who want to come to the workshop, who want to learn something new. So let them be. You gain more peace, and whatever they say is not as important. Randy?
Yeah, hypnotherapy, what Carmen's talking about in terms of breathing and the other maneuvers is called grounding in hypnosis, or what's the other word? Anyway, a grounding technique. And that means that you go out, if in hypnosis or hypnotherapy, somebody is having a bad emotion, and a very pleasant, difficult emotion, you help that person look around the room, breathe in, like Carmen's saying. And the only thing I would add to what Carmen's saying in terms of the deep breaths are a mistake that I've made, and a lot of people make is, okay, that didn't work. No,
it's hyperventilating. Yeah.
You have to breathe in for 2 to 3, 4 minutes, and that doesn't sound like a long time, but it adds up. So it has to be, like a technique that there's thousands of breathing techniques these days. But one of the
breathe out. Yeah.
It's called square breathing.
Yes. Yeah. That's very, yeah. But breathing out, what I tell people is to breathe out, because everybody's going to breathe in, right? Even when I tell people breathe out, they breathe in. So no, breathe out. Let it come out.
And the square breathing is 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, count it, and then wait for 4 seconds.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Here's another question. Oh, Randy, that's a good one for you. How do I navigate different parenting styles with the family during holiday events? Different parenting styles. How do we get to navigate different parenting styles? I mean, you're a parent, and this is how you parent, and then you have your parents over there parenting you and probably parenting your children. Oh, that's going to push your buttons. If your parents are going to parent your children and you parent your children much differently.
Oh, yeah, and if a parent says, why are you letting them do that? Go get this and this, or start barking orders at you, or something horrible like that. Or, you're spoiling them to death. And, that is just going to ruin them if you keep that up. I've told you that 100 times, haven't I? You need to quit blah, blah, blah. It raises the temperature in the room real quick. There's no magic answer. know when it pushes your buttons. The biggest and most important thing, I think Carmen would agree, is to know what your buttons are and know that they're being pushed. And then it's up to you to, you can engage if you want. That's probably going to go nowhere. But you can also see what are my other options. Write them down before you go on this horrible trip, this big trip to your parents or wherever, family. Write these things down. What I want to do. Keep it in your pocket or wherever. And when things start getting heated, when mom or dad start saying barking orders at you, saying they're doing get them to get away from the tree or whatever. Then you pull out your thing and say, okay, squared breathing, and then do that exercise. There's no magic answer, and just remind yourself, like I said before, it's one day. The sun will rise the next day, I believe. Should, right?
Yes,
And
yes, the
life,
sun will
life,
rise. Whether you have clouds or not, the sun will be there the next day morning. One very good thing you want to say to your parents that are parenting your child in a way that you disagree with, you can tell your parents that, say, Mom, Dad, thank you, but my parenting style is different, and in my household this is accepted and this is not accepted. Please understand that. And then you go about parenting your child, because this is going to be a very, very difficult, very difficult situation in which someone else parents your child, right? And it's very, very icky, touchy, very sensitive. Especially when your parents come from such a different background, like different country. There is enough generational difference in the same country from generation to another, more so from a different country. Yeah, I mean, imagine like first generation. Let's talk about immigrants, because it's very clear example on that. Here you are as an immigrant, come over here to this country. A few years later, you get married, you make your own family, you have your own children, and later on, your parents from mother country come over for whatever reason. They come over, and then they see you parenting your child, and you parent your child here the way it needs to be parented today, in today's environment, in today's culture, for what they need, because your child it's growing up and engages not with your mother country style anymore. It lives in America with all kinds of different cultures around. Doesn't matter what church you take them to, that's irrelevant. Yeah, your child is here going to an American school 99.9% of the time. Yeah, so your parent coming over from another country telling you how to parent your child, it's not gonna jive anymore. It's not gonna fit. So what you get to do in that time is to tell your parent, Man, this is how we used to be when I grew up, but this doesn't apply and it doesn't work now for my child the way we grew up here. Randy?
excuse me. Correct. And realize that that's a good way to break through what's the real thing going on. When somebody comes, when you go to their house and they start barking at you or criticizing you or putting you down, what is going on? It's not, there's the surface level, but then you go beneath the ocean on the iceberg and there's a lot more there. What are they saying? They're saying something along the lines probably of like, I never wanted you to grow up. I can't deal with you as an adult. You're still my child, and I can tell you what to do, and you better listen to me because I'm still your parent. And I don't care if you're 45 years old. I am the parent. That kind of thing. And that's a lot of what the issue. And I can't deal with you growing up. It's talking back at me. How dare you? Blah blah blah. So what you're suggesting, Carmen, is a way to break through that in terms of talking to them adult to adult. And because if a parent is criticizing you and you get into your, it's not you, but a person gets into their emotional mood and they start fighting back, you're saying, I'm a kid and you're a parent, and you still have the power to criticize me, even though you're 60, 70, 80 years old. You can still hurt my feelings, and I'm still your child, and we're all back to where I'm 5 years old again. And so you want to avoid that, and that's a big pressure. That's a big thing to remember. That is that those exercises help your mind to get back into the, okay, this is my mother, this is my father, this is the way they are. The world won't stop. I can live through it. I can tolerate it. What's in the better things? They have 10 presents for my children. My children love coming over here and getting presents. That's what's important. That's the other thing too. That we haven't really spoke about, but is what is the goal of the thing? Is the goal to have Blue Bloods, the Waltons, to do like on TV? I hope not, because that's not real. But is it the goal that, or is the goal, I want my children to have a happy Christmas? I want
Yeah.
my child to have fun this Christmas. If that's the goal, just like they do in sports, keep your eye on the goal. And you can put that on a piece of paper. Just write it down somewhere. Or write down on a piece of paper, make a copy. You know, this is the goal. This is what my purpose is or the goal may be just to tolerate the visit and get through it. So,
Yeah. 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 And hopefully enjoy the food. Um, and this already addressed. I had another question here. They wanted to know how to navigate cultural differences during the holidays, and how to embrace those differences, um, without feeling isolated. And the same example that we had with a parent of a child, applies to anything, uh, because the first family every family has its own culture. Then the child of that family that has their own children, they have their own culture. So understanding that are going to be cultural differences at any times, that it's so important, and it's going to save you a lot of emotions, a lot of unwanted emotions. And understanding that older, uh, um, uh, well, your parents, um, I don't want to say older people, but because they can be the same age from a different country, they might have that live in a culture that is just so different than yours. Maybe the culture they come from is not as inclusive and permissive and a freedom of speech that we have over here. So understanding someone's cultural difference, uh, let it be. Your opinion, it's not as important. if if you are attacked, if you are insulted, if you are walked over, if you are put down, then yes, say something. I don't appreciate that. Please don't do it again. Set boundaries, but do it in a very nice way. In this kind of, because if you don't do it in a nice, quiet, pleasant enough way, well, maybe not pleasant for you, um, the whole group, the whole family, it's going to be disturbed, and everybody's going to remember that holiday and not all of the other nice holidays. Everybody is going to remember the holiday that had the highest upheaval due to negative emotions. It's just something that we are built, it's a built-in mechanism for us to react to negative emotions, to anger, to stress, to fear, to all of that. And that stays with us longer than happy memories. up, then that happens up until we are trained, up until we learn to ignore to some degree, to redirect our thoughts towards a happy memory and choose to remember the happy memories. And the reason why so many people respond, so there are so many ways for me to say this. The reason many of us respond and remember those negative experiences quicker is because happiness, it's a natural state of being happy, joyful, playful. It's a natural state of being. So when we have something outside of the norm, we are going to remember what's outside of the norm. But we need to remember that even though an experience is outside of the norm, like difficult upheaval, stress, anger, yelling, other things, it takes a skill set, an emotional intelligence toolkit skill set, to have you appreciate right in the moment what's good about in the situation. Happiness is there. And as the sun is going to rise tomorrow morning, what is going to rise anyway, whether you have clouds over or not, it's still going to rise. Yeah, it's a matter of the clouds being there. It's not a matter of the sun not being there. So as the sun will be there in the morning, so your happiness is always there. Your happiness is always there up until you go to sleep. And even when you go to sleep, your happiness is there. How many clouds do you allow to cloud you? So there may be a little bit of cloud, but don't let the clouds rain on you. That is possible. It is possible. Randy?
Yeah, I like that metaphor. And that's very, I think that's really helpful.
All right. So here's another question. Okay. All right. So I have some good questions over here. So, good question that I have over here is, it's like, how do I get to celebrate my cultural traditions and holiday when I'm far from home and far from the family? Randy, what's going on with your internet? So how do you get to celebrate your cultural traditions? Well, celebrating your cultural traditions when you are far away from your home and from your family can still happen. It can definitely still happen. Randy, all right. So even if you are away from your cultural, from your country, from your cultural tradition, from your family, even if that is so, maybe you get together with people in your community. Maybe, or what you can do, if you are invited someplace, you can bring a little bit of your culture to that place. The first thing would be a food. Maybe you can bring a dish, yeah, as part of your culture, or you can invite people over. Yeah, neighbors. You surely have a neighbor or two. Yeah, and sometimes when you're about to invite someone over, they might say, "Well, why don't you come over? You might like that better." So, and also keep in mind that during the holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever big holiday it is in your culture, you don't have to prepare a large meal for people to come over, because that is, it provides a lot of stress, and there's a lot of people when they just rather not do that and rather just spend holidays all by themselves instead of putting themselves through that, all of that work. So what you can do is just create, do a potluck, do a potluck, invite people over and tell them, well, now if you go somewhere, you better bring some food with you nowadays. Most of the places, most of the culture, but set up a gathering as a potluck, and of course you're still going to um, cook and bring your own and prepare your food and other stuff to be sufficient for as many people that are going to come, but have everybody else bring something, let them know that they are expected to bring something, and that's going to take a lot of stress off your shoulders, and then you're going to be able to enjoy the whole gathering much better. Randy?
Yeah, the question was about big family gatherings, I assume.
The question was, how can I celebrate my cultural traditions and holidays when I'm far away from home and family?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the suggestions you have are wonderful. That's a hard one, and um, uh, yeah, I think the internet makes that a little bit better because you can do Zoom, you can have some virtual meetings, but it's hard. It's hard being away from. There's no getting around it. There's no that it's going to be it's hard being away from family and friends and your culture in another in another country. It's difficult. It's one day. It passes. Life goes on, but it's still it's difficult. It's it can feel it can feel very lonely and feel very
yeah,
isolated.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
the idea that you had, not to solve that, but if that occurs over and over, the idea like you had of this the time to start giving, start going to, like you said, the cultural places in the city that respect your culture, and give out food to them. I mean, they're always looking for volunteers to give out food. Uh, there,
Randy, you bring out another good point, because here's another good question that I have. And Randy's internet gigabits are lacking again. He's gonna come right back. Randy, your internet is being the is being the star of the night today. But you just brought up such a good point, because here's another good question. Like, are there any recommendations for finding or creating a family or good gathering in a new city or new country away from home? And yes, there are several good ways to go about it. There's so many. You can The easiest one. The easiest one would be to volunteer to a community space. Yeah, it's volunteer to community space is easy to find, and it might be very rewarding to you when you see that you help other people that don't have families. So that's immediately going to settle your emotions and your loneliness right away, and just providing just those kitchens, they cook their own food. You don't have to come up with what you're going to cook. So just be over there and help serve others. Or if you really don't want to do that, you can there are services like internations.org or meetup.com, and there are all kinds of groups that you can participate into, because especially in the United States, there are so many people that are far away from home, whether permanently or temporarily. It really doesn't matter. So if you don't like to go to church, then don't go to church. You're not supposed to go to church. If you whatever you don't do whatever you don't want to do, but you want to get together with someone. So I've been together with my international family so often during the holidays. It was such a great time. It was so interesting to learn about the other cultures, to experience all kind of different food, because everybody would bring a dish, almost everybody. And it was some of the most magnificent time during the holidays to spend time with my international family. And this international family, it was a family that was built through connection, through internations, or through meetup, or people that I've met um, through these meetups. And it was just, we just had a good time. So that's another way to just go ahead and have a surrogate family if you are away from home, or if you want to get away from people you don't want to be with at holidays. Randy?
Yeah, yeah. I think we should remember that for many thousands and tens of thousands of people, this will be a very difficult holiday. There's horrible things going on in our world right now. There always have been, but there's a lot of it going on now. And in most cities, you can call 311, it's United Way, or look it up on the internet, United Way. Call them up saying, I want to volunteer somewhere for Christmas. And they will give you a list of 30 places that need volunteers. And a lot of them will be lonely people. There are people who won't have families for Christmas, never will. They're forever family. So there's a lot of pain in this world that can use, use company to get them through the day. And call 311, say you want to volunteer. They will find you a place.
That's a very good advice. 311 here in the United States, and maybe there is an equivalent for that, the community help, or you can just type in, do a search on the internet, volunteering places, a community center volunteering places during the holiday season, and that can be actually a very uplifting experience.
There are a lot of people hurting, and we
Yes.
all hurt. It's all pain. But one way to get through pain is to take your mind off of it. And one way to take your mind off of it is to go help somebody else's pain is worse.
That's true. That is always true. And being of service is the greatest service that you, maybe it's the greatest fulfilling a feeling that you can have in this lifetime, to be of service, not to be of servant or to be a doormat, but to be of service. Randy, anything else you want to cover tonight?
No, I think that's. I'm glad that these questions were very, very good. I really appreciate very good questions. So I'm glad people have them.
Yeah, this one indeed very, very good questions. um Maybe next time when I have this a question, I should post all of these questions in a chat. I still have to figure out how to do this with all of the multiple places this podcast is going, and we'll take it from there. So make sure you navigate the holiday stress at group or family gatherings with emotional intelligence. That's plenty of insight that you can get from here. And if you need more, type your questions in the comments and we will get back to you. All right. Thank